Welcome back to TutsByKai. I'm Kai. Today we're back in Blender once again. Hey guys, welcome on back to TutsByKai. I'm Kai, and today we're back in Blender once again. Today we're looking at how to make this really cool type text animation here, which is one of the coolest things about 2.8. You can do all of this really nice post-processing right here in Blender. You could do it before, but it did take a little bit of use with nodes. Now we have a lot more sliders and number values, which is really cool. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and delete everything in our scene except for our camera. I'm going to hit B to box select over default cube and our lamp. Goodbye default cube. Delete that, and we'll go ahead and select our camera. Hit Alt G and Alt R to clear the location and rotation. RX 90 on my numpad, and GY to move the camera back just a little bit. Our grid is infinite now, so I can't say behind the grid. But anyway, 0 on my numpad to go into the camera's view, and Shift A to add in a text object. Now this text object will hit RX 90 on our keyboard and Enter to rotate it 90 degrees on the X axis. You can hit Tab to go into edit mode, and I'll go ahead and I'll type in future. Alright, anyway, we're going to go ahead and go to the text tab over here on the right hand side. Change alignment from in the horizontal section from left to center. And then depending on what font we're going to use, which we'll change in a second here, we're gonna have to change this Y offset. So we'll go to font, and then we'll grab our font wherever you have that on your computer. And the one I'm using is called True Lies. I'll leave a link to the description, and fix our Y offset by going ahead and just dropping that down a couple until that's somewhere around the center. I think 2.25 should be better. There we go. Yeah, 0.25 is pretty good. We'll hit S to scale it down a little bit. And now here comes the pretty cool part. We'll go ahead and keep extruding this. We'll go to the extrude value. I'll turn render viewport shading on. We're going to keep extruding this in the geometry section. Yeah. We're going to keep extruding it until you can no longer see the back half of it. So it's going to look kind of weird for the time being, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. I'm going to move my camera. We're going to have to move our camera back every single time I do this because it's going to get really long. So you can still see, we can see the back there. So we'll go ahead and change the extrude value until you can no longer see that backhand side. And the darkness is going to help us out a little here. So I'll move the text backwards. And you can zoom in. We can still see that a little bit. But what we're going to do first is I'm going to add our lighting. Just look how long that is. We're going to add our lighting in so you can get a better feel for if it is actually working or not, because this might be too long. We're going to have to go ahead and make everything dark. So I'll go to the world tab here and change my color to solid black. Or almost solid black. We'll go really dark blue. We'll change it to blue and be almost black, but not quite. All right, that looks good, and you cannot see that back there. I think we can shave some of this length off. So we'll go ahead and go back to the text tab and just change that extrude value down a little bit, and we'll open up our collection, grab our camera, hold down Shift, grab our point light, and move that forward. I added that light kind of quick. I just realized. Let's do that again. Let me delete that. Shift A will add in the light. It'll be a point light. It'll be down there, so we'll hit GY to move it back behind our camera, which is right here. There we go. So that's better. Now you can't see those edges back there, which is nice. So now we have this really long fading in thing. I'm gonna go to overlays here and turn 3D cursor off because that's gonna bug me being right there in the middle. So that looks good. So we'll move our text back a little bit. I want that light to shine on it still though. So now we'll select our light. Our light will be a orange light, or like just a very slightly orange light. Something like that. Yeah, sure. That's the light tab right here, the point light tab. We'll go ahead and select our text, and now we can do a little bit of materializing, which is pretty cool. I'll turn overlays off for this because we don't need it on. And now what we'll go ahead and do is we'll add in the new material. We'll hit this little button and choose the default material that Blender comes with, which is nice because it's a blank material we can work with. We'll go ahead and open up the color, change it to solid white, and we'll drag it to a orange. I want it like a yellowish orange, like that, something like that, which looks pretty good. Yeah, you can do any color you want, obviously, but I'm going to go with yellow-orange like that, like a golden yellow. We'll also change, and we'll grab this color and plug it into the subsurface color right there, and we'll turn subsurf up to about like right there, which is so low, I know. It's like 0.033, yeah, 0.033, and in the render tab here, I'll go to subsurface scattering and make sure that is turned on. Now you can see we have a little bit of subsurf there, just enough, just a little bit. We'll go back to the material tab and turn metallic up just a little bit, like almost halfway. So 0.380 should be good, and I'll turn subsurf up just a little bit more, maybe 0.058. Doesn't have to be exact, but All right, so that looks pretty good so far. What I want to do now is we'll go ahead and turn specular all the way down because we don't need any of that. This yellow is kind of harsh, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lighten the yellow up a little bit and drag that down there. Yeah, that's better. So now, I want to make sure the roughness on everything is all the way up because we don't want any roughness. Now, this is just a really ugly yellow color. Let me play around with this for a second. Hold on. I had a really nice orange when I did this the first time, and I just can't seem to recreate that color for some strange reason. But you know what it is? It's the point lamp. It's not close enough. That's what the problem is. I figured it out. I got you. I got it. All right, so let's go ahead and move our camera forward and our lamp. And now it should be way too bright and way too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take our camera and change the focal length here. So we'll go and change the focal length. That is a much better yellow. That's what I'm looking for here. Might be a little too bright. So we'll go ahead and grab our point lamp, hit GY, move it backwards a little bit so it's a little softer and it's a little not as bright. All right, that looks much better. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. We'll go ahead and hit Shift A now, and we'll add in a area lamp. We'll make sure we go RX 180 to make it point straight up. We'll move it to the front of our text here, and of course we'll move it down. So now we have this bottom light, which is nice. I'm going to change the color of it from white to red, something like that, perhaps. Yeah, looking good. And for this lamp right here, I do want to change this a little bit more of a yellow, just a little bit more. Get a little bit harsher of a color there. Now you can see we're kind of losing this front face, so the way we're going to fix that and make an awesome effect, we're going to go ahead and hit Shift A, add in another point light. That's going to be way down there, so we're going to hit GY, move it up into the text here. You can see we have this really cool effect, especially because of the subsurface scattering. We have this really nice kind of glowing inside text kind of thing. So before we duplicate this a couple of times, which we're going to do, I want to make sure I got it in the right place first. So about right, GY, about right there. Yeah, right. And then I want to change the color from stark white to a little bit of a yellow, like that. So we'll have a little bit of a golden color inside there as well. I'll go ahead and hit Shift D, GX to move this about right there as well. And then another time, Shift D, GX, and we'll move it on the outside. You know what? We can actually skip the one on the outside, to be honest with you. We don't need that one. And this lamp right here, we'll grab the one in the center again, Shift D, GX, and we'll move it right there in between the R and the E. Shift D, GX, and we can move this one on the outside because I do want this bright spot right there, and we'll move it up as well. Yeah. So that looks pretty good. Ooh, that looks pretty good to me. We'll go ahead, and now we are cooking. We're looking pretty good so far. What I want to do now is I want to select our text again, go to the material tab, and make sure, I just really want to make sure all of this roughness is good, because we don't want it to look like that. I mean, that actually kind of looks pretty cool, but you know what? We might go half and half. Yeah, let's go half and half. That is a really cool effect, but I'm not going to do that for today's video. We will leave the roughness all the way up. So yeah, I changed my mind. That does look cool, but we'll change the metallic up a little bit so we get a little bit more of that front face coming out for the future word. Looking pretty good so far. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and do the embers. We do the embers now. I'll go back out of rendered viewport change so we can see what we're doing. Turn overlays back on. Hit Shift A once again. Add in a mesh. Plane, hit S to scale it up a little bit, GY to move it up to the front. I do not want these particles to come in front of the word future, so we'll move it to about right there so that they have some room to move around. GZ to move it down, 0 to go back into our camera's view, and we will hit hit SX to scale on the X-axis, GX to move it over, RY to rotate it a little bit, and G to move it out of the frame. We can hit SX again to scale it up a little bit because it's kind of small. There we go. So that looks pretty good. I want the particles to come in from the side. Doesn't matter what side. You can choose whatever side. I'm going to hit G to move it away from the camera even more because I want the camera to move a little bit later on. So we'll compensate for that. Look, about right there is pretty good. We'll go ahead and go to the particle tab, which is this tab right here. The icon looks kind of weird in 2.8, I know. We'll hit New to add in a new particle system. We'll change the number of particles to like 2,500 or something like that. And we'll change the end frame. We'll change our end frame of the scene to 200 there in the timeline, and we also have to do that in the scene tab here. We have to change the. Oh, you could change it in the scene tab here as well.